Welcome to Spectrum Perspectives, real talk with parents, professionals, and autism advocates, with your host, Cindy Gellermini.
Today, we're going to continue with part 2 of Shannon's story, talking about her son, Jordan, who's 25 years old. We're going to talk about what it's like after graduation, and she's going to share a really funny story about what happened on his graduation. And then we'll continue talking about where she is now and how she started a business and a podcast called Not Your Average Autism Mom. She's a woman of many talents and lots of knowledge that she likes to share with other moms that have kids that are younger than hers, trying to help them and give them love and support that they need. Join us now for part 2.
Where were we?
You were talking about your son using bad words when he's angry at you.
Yeah, and
When he
that's
goes to school and is flipping the bird. And
yeah, that's kind of his go-to. His go-to has always been, and let's just put it this way: when he graduated high school,
Mhm.
we decided that he would walk across the stage to get a thing. And so they decided they would, instead of making him sit out in the front with all the other students, that they would keep him around back and he would have his tablet. And then when it was time, they'd walk him around and have him go. Well, they decided that they would make him the last one.
oh,
So
so they made him wait.
they made him wait until the end.
Autistic kids
So-
don't do well with that.
Well, he had his tablet, so he was
Okay.
content.
Yeah.
But don't think that all that waiting back there didn't increase his anxiety like through the roof.
Sure.
So, and Jordan has always been and still is, like I can look at his body language and tell when it's getting ready
Gonna
to
blow.
go
Yeah.
bad.
Mhm.
He's a hand wringer.
Yeah.
So he would wring his hands, just his posture, you just see like his body language just really speaks volumes. And so when she brought him around to the side of the stage, I just looked at everyone we were with and I was like, this is not going to be
No,
good.
this is not good. No,
This is not good, you guys. I don't even know what to expect. He's getting ready to walk across the stage in front of thousands of people.
Oh no.
Yeah, he walked across and got his diploma and flipped the bird to everyone in the audience as he walked across the stage. Okay. I have the perfect picture of him walking across the stage, flipping the bird.
Oh God. And did everybody laugh or?
Well, let me tell you, like,
I would have cracked up.
I think half of the audience was totally shocked and the other half was cracking up because they knew who Jordan was.
Right.
Now, of course, the students were cheering and rooting him on because that was the greatest thing ever. And Madison ended up like, everyone was like, your brother is so cool. How does he get away with that? And it's like, and I told everyone, because we were the Longhorns. So I said to everyone, oh, he was just doing the Longhorn sign.
Oh, right. Okay.
He just messed that up a little bit when he did it. So yeah, he's always been and still is, like when he gets mad, if something changes, that he doesn't like I said, we have a lot of strategies that we use, Cindy, now that we know how to redirect him fairly quickly when he's on the verge of going somewhere not good.
Right.
So our life today is so much easier than it ever was in the past. And it's literally because we became consistent.
Mm-hmm.
We do what we say we're going to do.
Right.
And we went through a year of it really hard. Him, saying mean things, hating us, not having him join us for dinner because he didn't act appropriately. And, he's not going to die because he misses a dinner.
Mm-hmm.
So we did a lot of really hard things to impact him pretty significantly. And while they were hard, the differences that it's made now is amazing. We were actually at some friends Sunday night. We had gone to some friends' house for dinner, and these are friends that we spend a lot of time with them. We have really good friends that they also have a son whose name is Trevor, who is the same age as Jordan. He's 2 months older than Jordan, and he has autism as well. So they go to the same day program. But they, they will sit in Jordan's room, and I mean, they don't ever converse. They both just do their thing.
Right.
But what was funny is we went over to our other friend's house Sunday night, and Jordan, when we're there, he's in the living room. Now they do have a gaming device there that he plays when he's there. We had some extra people, like one of our friends' daughter's boyfriends was there, and our daughter was there with her boyfriend, and he was in the living room with all of them, and he was actually interacting. Like he was actually like asking questions. And my friend Becky came out of the porch and said, Jordan is interacting. Like, what did you do different today? Like, did you change his medicine or do something different? And I was like, no, but he's really coming out. We're seeing significant changes at 25.
Right. You mentioned medications. I know with HIPAA laws, you don't have to tell me what he takes, but like what types of medications, like what are they for?
So I will tell you, we have been on the medication merry-go-round for since we started pretty young. I mean, I'd say Jordan probably started taking medication when he was, I don't know, 8 or 9. And I was very resistant to it. I was really, really resistant.
I can mention it because Robbie doesn't take these medications anymore, so I'm assuming it fits. But when he was 5, because he would not sleep, he wouldn't go to sleep, or he'd wake up at 3 a.m, be wide awake.
Yeah.
My husband finally said, you need to put him on something. So we put him on clonidine when he was 5, and he took it for the rest of his life. And a lot of parents put their kids on that.
Jordan still takes clonidine.
Yeah. And then not sleeping is a big issue. If you go on the Facebook autism pages, every day a parent asks, what do I do? Because my kid won't
it's
sleep.
huge. It's huge.
And I had somebody snap at me because I said clonidine, and she's like, how dare you suggest such a harsh medication? Like she was looking for me to say melatonin, I guess, or give him warm milk before he goes to bed, like
she would have really,
I'm like, come back to me in 5 years.
she would have really disliked my answer then, because Jordan took trazodone, which is for people that know these kind of medications,
like knock a horse out, I think, right?
It's a very old and what they call a dirty drug. And Jordan was on 300 milligrams of trazodone, which is a lot. And I'm not a medication person, so I don't.
And I'm not either, but
I don't have experience. But my friends that I know that have taken sleeping things, what happened was she ended up telling me one time, wow, I can't believe he takes 300 milligrams of trazodone. Like, that's a lot. And she said, Shannon, I'm going to tell you, when I take that, when I wake up in the morning, I am super bitchy.
Oh.
Just irritated. And Jordan used to always wake up in the morning really irritated.
Okay.
And so that was one of the times that I decided, I had been starting to give Jordan a lot of vitamins and supplements and things like that, like, vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin B, just lots of different vitamins. And one of the things that I had started giving him was L-tryptophan. And it was
isn't that what's in turkey that makes you fall asleep?
Yes. And it was suggested by a friend of mine, by her chiropractor. So I had started giving him that. So I started weaning him off of the trazodone, the 300 milligrams. And I ended up getting him down to, he still takes 50 milligrams of trazodone, but 50 to 300, like, that's huge.
Yeah.
And I think that L-tryptophan, because it's a mood stabilizer too. I mean, we've seen a huge difference. He doesn't wake up in the morning irritated, rarely ever.
Right. Okay.
So the medication merry-go-round. So he took medication for ADHD. He's been on Adderall and Focalin. I would say the biggest, most significant impact is definitely that one. Like, that medicine is one that we don't want to be without, because it would not be a good day.
Right.
And it's not for him, in my opinion, it's not about focus as much as it is about, it regulates his emotion. It's emotional regulation. If he doesn't have it, he's irritable and not happy. Right. But when he has it, and we can actually tell, we give it to him, and like within 30 minutes, He's extremely talkative.
Right.
He's very talkative for,
Right.
a little while when I think the stimulant hits him.
Mm-hmm.
But the other one he takes is fluoxetine, which is the Prozac.
Oh, right.
And Cindy, he's been on that.
We had a horrible experience with that.
Really, he's been on that since
Mm-hmm.
he was I'm going to say probably 11 years old, maybe.
Yeah.
And so I think those are the two that have made the biggest impact for him. His, Jordan's need to know and
Mm-hmm.
his anxiety, like that's what the Prozac has helped with so much.
Right. Right. Yeah. A doctor put Robbie on Prozac when he was little. I think he was like 8 or something. And I have video of him where he just was crying all day long. It was just absolutely miserable,
Really?
miserable. And I took him right off. And then I said, that's it. I'm not doing this. I'm not medicating him. And it wasn't until he had his first seizure at 17, that they put him on seizure meds. And
Right.
that's when we saw the big difference. Yeah. He just calmed down. He was happier,
Wow.
no more. I mean, he was always agitated and pacing back and forth and stimming and the ticks and the, like it was just constant, like adrenaline
Constant.
flowing through his body. And, or he'd get aggressive and he'd go after my husband and, whatever. And
Right.
seizure meds, just all of that, just,
Oh, wow.
he became like calm, happy. I'm nowhere near being a doctor or anything. It just shows me that there's something going on neurologically, that's
Absolutely.
causing all of this. And I tell parents this now, to tell them, don't be afraid of the meds.
Right. Don't be afraid to try. It's not for everyone. It's not going to
Yeah.
work for everyone. I mean, we tried several different meds. I mean, I remember they put Jordan on Ritalin and it was like, no way. Like it was just, and at the time, Ritalin was the big drug that everyone was
Yes.
using back then.
Mhm.
But it was not good for him. And I'll tell you another thing. I mean, I tried CBD oil for Jordan.
Sure. Mhm.
It
Do
was
anything?
not good. You know what? He ended up becoming agitated and aggressive way more
Right.
than without it. And uh, that was total opposite of what everyone thought it would be.
Right. And I was going to say that with my husband, he has an opposite reaction to medications. So if something's supposed to be like an antidepressant, it makes him depressed. If it's supposed to calm him down, it makes him hyper, and so I kind of learned that with Robbie too. And that's what happened, right, with your son with the CBD. So you don't know.
But I've never been opposed to trying anything. I mean, I've just never been opposed to, and I'll tell you, I had his doctor when he was younger, just said to me, she said, Shannon, here's the thing. If your child had cancer, you would give them medication to treat it. She said, I realize that there is no treatment for autism, but if we treat his symptoms, it will ease the struggles he has in his life.
Yeah. And I want to really mention that I didn't want to do it for my life to be better. Right. Like I didn't want to calm him down because he was driving me nuts.
Nope. Him.
It wasn't until I saw how much happier he was.
Yes.
That I was like, then I was mad at myself. I was like, man, I should have done this 5 years ago, but I didn't, whatever. It's that whole guilt and everything else that you deal with as a parent.
That whole hindsight, you don't know, until you try. But yeah, no, that's the whole thing. And that's what she has said to me. Like, we can give him medications that will make his life easier.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and try. And so it was, I mean, it was a trial. Now he has been on, he's been on the same medication. We worked a few years ago to reduce a couple, but I mean, he's been on the same medications now for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
We've just really gotten down on the dosage of them.
Yeah. Now, one of the things, Robbie was on Risperdal, and the Lamictal, I think, was for the seizures. Risperdal was supposed to block aggressive behaviors, but I think that's the one that can cause weight gain. My son, Robbie was always too skinny anyway. So for him to put on 10, 20 pounds was actually a good thing, but he didn't get overweight at all. But I'm bringing that up because you said that your son is always like, you got to lock up the food cabinets and he's always going for food. Do you think that's a side effect of the medications, or that's just like an OCD thing he has? Or,
you know what? I think it's a combination. I think it's a combination of, because it's like when his eyes open, that's what he thinks he needs to do. So I almost think it's like a learned behavior.
Yeah.
And I take that back, Cindy, to where, I remember when he was young, I would leave out a banana for him in the middle of the night because I knew he'd get up and scavenger. And so
Hmm.
I would leave it out so that he wouldn't do that.
Right.
And I think it became a learned behavior for him. So he
Mhm.
wakes up and he needs to have food. But I also think, and I wonder, let's put it this way, um, because there are times when he's not hungry. And I think that's the medicine. I think that's actually the stimulant that's keeping him not hungry. But when the stimulant wears off, then
Mhm.
that's when he's hungry.
Right. Right.
So
And the
it's just my
clonidine used to
thought
make Robbie
process.
thirsty. Does clonidine make him thirsty at night?
No.
Because okay, yeah, because he used to drink a lot of water at night, and we had to cut back on that because he was wearing a diaper and he'd wake up soaked all the
Right.
time.
So and everything else would be soaked. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was something else. Like Jordan, it took us until it's probably been probably just 5 years, Cindy, since I haven't had to deal with wet beds,
Hmm.
just overnight. And I think that was because of the high doses of the medication that he
Hmm.
wasn't waking up to go to the bathroom.
Right.
And so as we weaned his dosages back, he would now he gets up and goes to the bathroom. But yeah, till he was almost 20.
Yeah. There's something else. I'm trying to think who I talked to about this, but there's a name for it where their body doesn't ever register that it's full. They'll
Yes.
just keep eating and eating and eating. And that was something I saw with Robbie. Like he loved breakfast food. He loved like waffles and pancakes and eggs and sausage and bacon, right? And I took him to, I think to Denny. It was like Denny's had this meat lovers thing. It was like everything on the menu.
Right.
And he
Everything's
just kept
there.
eating and eating and eating. And we were watching and we were like, all right, this is getting gross. Like he's gonna just like throw up. He's eating so much food. And that's when it dawned on me. I'm like, I don't think it's registering to him that he's full.
Right. That he's full.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jordan was always really skinny all through elementary school. And then we did a medication, and I'm pretty sure it was the Prozac, and he gained a significant amount of weight, like
Hmm.
quickly.
Yeah.
And so from that point, he's always been overweight. Like we have constantly been struggling with his
Yeah.
weight, and he's always had very bad posture too. So his
Hmm.
gait is
Yeah.
very like hunched over.
Right.
Well, last September we started, and I worked with his doctor because, like I said, when things come from the doctor, they're more
Yes. You
real
can
than
blame
when they
him.
come from me, right?
Yeah.
So I'm really close with our doctor here, and I called her and said, "Listen, I need to get him walking on the treadmill because he gets no exercise. He goes to the day program and he sits there. He sits on the bus. He sits at home. He doesn't like to go outside." And so I said, I can't get him to do it consistently. I'm really struggling. It's causing
Mhm.
a lot of conflict. So if you will tell him that you need him to do it, then I can enforce it because you said it.
Right.
So we literally started last September, and she told him that he needed to walk 15 minutes on the treadmill every day.
Okay.
And so what happened with my consistency and saying, nope, got to do it every day, can't give it up. Well, here we are in July, and he's now up to a mile every day on the treadmill when we don't hike. And I'll tell you, Cindy, his gait has totally changed. He would walk on the treadmill when he started in September
Hmm.
and had to hold on to be able to
Sure.
walk because he's not coordinated at
Right.
all.
Hmm.
Well, let me tell you now, he will walk for 20 minutes and hold his tablet and never even look down.
Wow.
So just amazing progress from little things like that,
Hmm.
and just like him being conversational the other night at the friend's house. So we're seeing, I mean, literally more progress in him in a short spurt of time than I've probably ever seen.
Right.
So super exciting. Like, I mean, I feel like we've waited for this time for him to come out of his shell a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
You know?
great. All right. So tell me about what you're doing now. Tell me about your podcast and all of that.
Okay, sure. So what I'll say is, I was a national sales manager in the beauty industry when I had my kids and they were little. And then when Jordan got autism, I mean, not when he got autism, but
He was
when I
diagnosed.
knew that the diagnosis was going to need more of me, I knew that I wasn't going to be able to continue to do that because there was a lot of travel involved and things like that. So, so I ended up realizing that I was going to need to know all I could. So I went into special education and I became a special education advocate. And I spent the next 10 years building a special education company, working for families of all different special needs. Then I realized that I was just, I loved what I did, but I wasn't in the greatest business situation. And so I decided I needed to go a different direction. And I kept thinking, I want to work with autism moms because that's my love. That's my passion because that's what I went through and I want to support them. And what can I do? I didn't want to do just an advocacy company because I'd spent 10 years doing that. And I wanted to work just with autism moms.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided that I was going to come up with a place that was like an all-in-one place where you can come to get any of the answers that you need along your journey. And you can get those answers from professionals and with fidelity because I go on to these autism pages on Facebook or wherever, and you see these moms asking a question, and you see all these moms giving answers, and 80% of the answers are wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like they're giving information from a place that they don't know. They don't have the right answer.
Mm-hmm.
And so these moms are taking guidance that's not right, or that they could do something different.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I created Not Your Average Autism Mom, and that's the name of our business, I just decided that I was going to put training and I was going to put resources and everything that you're going to need along your journey. You could come there and ask. Whether you ask the coaches if you can't find something, or there's tutorials on everything special education. And so I created Not Your Average Autism Mom. And we're everywhere on social media at just that, Not Your Average Autism Mom. And we have a weekly podcast that comes out every Thursday. And it is every week I talk about topics that directly impact our lives as an autism mom. And, what I talk about every week may be useful for you. And it may not, because look, all of our kids are different. So
Right.
we're not everyone has behavioral issues. That's what I dealt with.
Right.
Not everyone has speech deficits, which is what I dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's different. So, but it's a great information. I'm very real. This is just me. Every once in a while I tell them, look, when I'm talking or coaching, a cuss word may come out now and then. I don't want you to be shocked. I'm not a big cusser, but it may happen if I'm coaching. So when we decided to have a private membership where people pay a monthly membership fee and they get training, coaching, all the resources, everything they need is in there. And then the biggest part of that is we have a private sisterhood group of these moms. And we have monthly happy hours. We have 2 coffee talks a month. So where we all meet on Zoom.
Yeah, I was going to ask, are you doing it live or on Zoom, or is it Zoom just because of COVID, or?
We're doing it on Zoom because we're across the country. So we have clients all over in all different time zones. So we do different days and different times so that we can, have some of our people on. We know everyone can't always get on, and that's where we connect. And that is one thing that our members say is probably one of the biggest benefits to the membership, is that they know they're not alone. It's a safe place for them to come and complain about their husband who isn't helping, complain about their mother-in-law that, doesn't think that their child has autism and thinks that they're making it up.
Right.
So it's a place where they're not getting judged, and they can come in and say, yeah, this morning I cleaned poop off the wall because, that's what he decided to do this morning.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to laugh with her, and, she's not going to feel alone, because Lord knows there's things like that happen that we don't tell the outside world.
Right.
So that's what we're doing. So we're an all-in-one place, and we want to be the place that all moms raising a child with autism want to be.
Right. Yep. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
What made you want to do that? Well, I guess you said because you were.
Yeah, because I didn't have it. Like, I wish that I would have had that when Jordan was growing up. I
Mhm.
wish I would have had one place to go where I could ask questions and get answers that I knew were genuine and true. I wish that I had a place to go to learn more about what's available in special education. I wish I had a place to go that would, have talk to me about weather and autism so I know like what to look for. So, and that's what we do. And we provide, we have a whole family resources section that has everything from, toothbrushing to teaching your young man how to shave, to teaching your daughter how to shave, to, medication questions and guidelines. So, what we've done is we've compiled all these resources from all different places,
Mhm.
and put them in one place for them.
Mhm.
So, that's what we want, because we want to save them time. Look, Google can be so time consuming, and you can spend hours there and never get the answers that you're looking for. So I want to make it quick and easy for you. And, we've utilized our members so that, we say, listen, if you want to know something, come to ask us,
Right.
because we're going to go do the research for you.
Mhm.
And then we're going to put it in the portal so that all of our future members have access to it as well. So that's really what we're doing. And, like I said, look, your time is taken up enough just doing the daily things that you need to do. And so don't waste your time seeking out this information. Let us do it for you.
Yeah. Well, it's this generation, the millennials. They love Google.
Yeah,
Ah,
I know. Yeah.
well, for my job, I'm a color consultant. Okay. And people hire me to help them choose paint colors for them for their house. Okay.
Right.
I've been doing this for 15 years. I've helped tens of thousands of people do this. I do this over and over all day, every day. Okay. And I will go to someone's house and I explain to them why we're choosing the color that we're choosing, because this is what matches your couch and your tile and da 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 da. And then when I leave, it's always the millennials. The next day, oh, I Googled that color and I read this blog and she recommended gray owl. I'm like, okay, we talked about gray owl. I told you it turns green. Like it.
You don't want that. Yeah.
You don't
Because
want that color. We already talked about that, but because they saw it on Google,
they read it somewhere,
I'm like, yeah,
right?
that doesn't work for you.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, do you read these Facebook posts and I'm like, people are asking these questions,
Mhm.
just tell them that you want a one-on-one aid.
Mhm.
Well, it's not that easy. Like, if you go in and you tell them that, then you're going to be creating resistance from the very beginning, and you're going to have a battle on your hands. So
Yes.
instead, this is what you need to do, So it's so important to me that people get correct information.
Mhm.
And we don't discuss vaccines.
Mhm.
We're not pro-vaccine, we're not anti-vaccine. We don't discuss it because we don't care, like we talked about earlier, we don't care about how or why.
Right.
We worry about what we're going to do
What we're going
moving
to do now.
forward. Yeah, we don't talk politics and we don't talk race, because you know what? I don't care what religion, race, it doesn't matter. If you're raising a child with autism, you're going to face the same challenges that the rest of us in here are facing.
Right.
Um, so we love all of them. And, so when we started this, I'm a certified life coach as well. I've been that for about 7 years.
Mhm.
But I did it for me. Like, I just did it for me just to kind of help me, because I knew I needed to, work on, it was at that point where I knew that Jordan was going to be with me forever.
Right.
I think I had known that for quite some time,
Mhm.
but it was that realization moment. And I thought, okay, well, I have to do something for me and be the best that I can be. So I ended up doing that, but I never did anything with it, because I was doing advocacy. And so when we started Not Your Average Autism Mom, I wasn't going to include coaching. I was just going to include just kind of resources and information and training. And as we started, when we would meet, I would just find myself coaching.
Mhm.
And I realized that the moms wanted that. Like they said, Shannon, that's what we want. Like that's what we need. We want you to coach us and guide us. And so I ended up developing an entire coaching program that we put inside the membership to
Hmm.
kind of help them manage their mindset.
Right.
And so if we have a member that's interested in that,
Mhm.
then that's a benefit to them inside the membership as we have coaching, and I do live coaching, and every week I do a coaching corner where I talk about something that a member has asked, or I've question that somebody's emailed directly to us, and I do that coaching corner explaining whatever that topic is. Like I just did one last week about IQ testing. We had somebody that asked about should they or should they not allow IQ testing? And so, I did some research on it and talked about it. And I always, I'm not afraid to say, this is my opinion.
Right.
If it's not something that's research based, I always tell them that this is just my opinion based on my experience and the hundreds of families that I've worked with.
Right. Right.
So, but I love what I do. I love our members. We're growing. People love the podcast. Our podcast is listened to in over 26 countries.
Mm.
So
What kind of things do you focus on your podcast?
I focus on everything from communication, talking about how to deal with family members, with an autism diagnosis, how to have the discussion, the talk with your child to explain their autism to them.
Mhm.
So I talk about I have not done any interviews on the podcast.
Okay, that's what I'm wondering. Okay, okay. So
Yeah,
it's just you talking about.
it's just me
Got it.
talking. I don't even have a co-host.
Got it.
I'm just talking about topics that impact them on a daily basis.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well,
You know?
and you have a lot of interaction with people too, so
Yeah,
it's easy to come up with topics. I'm sure.
absolutely. 90% of the topics and the things I talk about
Mhm.
come from our members. And we have an inner circle on Facebook, which is a private group for moms of kids 18 and under,
Mhm.
where that's kind of, they get to know us a little better, maybe if they're looking at joining the membership.
Right.
So where we go live in there and we do coaching and topics and things like that.
Mhm. That's great. Yeah, I think we talked about this before, but I want to do retreat weekends. That's been on my heart for years. It's been on my vision board. Where a few years ago, I belonged to this women's networking group, and somebody had opened a new spa. So they invited all the women to come for a spa night. And we all have our robes on, and we're all drinking champagne, and eating cheese and whatever. And then we had a sample facial, a sample massage, and a pedicure. And it was just a great ladies' night to just unwind and just to hang out, with the girls. But a friend of mine was there, and she has twins with autism, and I knew her marriage was falling apart. And when I saw her there, I took a picture of her and I said, she needs this more than anybody else. Like, I get goosebumps every time I talk about this. And and that picture is on my vision board. I'm looking over there because it's right there. It's hanging on my wall. And I said, she needs this. And then I started sort of just like a little support group. I tried to do it through my church, didn't really go through the church. I just did it on my own. And I invited parents that had special needs kids. And they just, they came over to my house a couple of times. We did a pool party, we did a couple of things. But just the first night we were together, everybody just telling their stories, like you said, like talk about my kids smeared poop on the wall. That's not something that you talk to other families in town about. Okay, you just don't. You start telling stories of every time I'm sitting on the toilet, my kid decides to elope, and I see him out the window running over to the neighbor's house. And we're cracking up laughing because there was nobody had their guard up. Nobody was trying to pretend like we fit in with the rest of we all was like, yes, you get it. I can be myself, and I can talk to you about this stuff. And we were just laughing, and it was just great. And it just, those two things in my life inspired me that I really just want to continue doing something like this. And I want to do retreat weekends at a spa where they can get their massages and everything. But I want everybody to laugh and also, like you said, create a community, make friends, get to know other moms, and then maybe do the private Facebook page and have everybody where you can stay in touch with each other, but it's private and it's not open to the world, and you feel a little bit,
And that's, our moms have made they've made friendships. I mean, we have, one of our moms inside our membership, right after she joined, she found out that she had cancer. And so we've traveled this cancer journey with her now, and now, she's on the road to recovery, and, she lost all of her hair, but she comes right on our calls with just as she is.
Yeah.
And, we've just really grown to, like I said, we traveled this journey with her. Like we
Yeah.
love her, So that's what, it's amazing relationships.
Yeah, that's great. And that's something that I think I'm learning is they just want a sense of community,
Yes.
because when you raise an autistic kid, you become very isolated. And
Absolutely. And that's the worst thing that you can do for you and for them.
yeah,
And, one of the things I say is, if you're, open and honest with the world, about you and your family, like, I mean, I'm just the person that and my people hear me say it all the time. If somebody's life has not been impacted by autism yet, we can't expect them to understand.
right.
Because we wouldn't understand if our life hadn't been impacted by it.
Right.
So, I'm the first one when we're out someplace, Jordan is, it's obvious if you are around him in an area that there's something different about him. He speaks very loud. He has a stutter, so he's hard to understand unless you've been around him. But, I'm the first one to, if I see somebody looking or staring or whispering, I'll walk over and say, that's my son, Jordan, and he has autism. Do you know what autism is? I'm happy to answer any questions for you. That's me. Like I'm out there putting it out there,
Right.
and more people do know because it's, so much more common than it was back then.
Yeah.
But that's how
yeah.
I put it out there.
Yeah, that's yeah. So this is how I put it out here. I don't know if I showed you this, but these are these are my children's books, and I'd love for you to share them with your moms, just because you mentioned like the mother-in-law that doesn't believe that autism is real, and
Yes.
and it's for the parents that have the kids newly diagnosed. Okay,
Yeah.
and as they go, each chapter kind of has a different theme, and these are just stories of my son when he was little. But, the first one, like I said, is when he's in daycare and the doctor diagnoses him. Then the next one is when I'm the brownie leader. These are my girls, as I call it waddle scouts, because a group of penguins is called the waddle.
Love
and
that.
and here's Robbie not participating. He's, having a good old time skimming, and then he runs away and he elopes, and I find him in the stream, in the brook. And and then I decide, okay, let's go for ice cream. And then he has a meltdown in the store because he has to wait too long in the line. And then a sweet old lady comes to the mom and says, clearly he's spoiled. We can tell, right? It's
That's
all these things that happen in our lives,
I love that. I can't wait. And I think we've got you scheduled to come in as our guest host, and you're going to share your story and the books.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, because it's because you're laughing, right? And that's kind of the point of the books. It's an easy pill to swallow. It's cute little illustrations, and it's
And
funny
you know what? I
stories
think that it's great that I think, well, and I've told you this, I think it should be in every elementary school curriculum, because I think
I think so too. I just want to know, how do I make that happen? I'm
Right.
waiting for someone to tell me how to do that.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. Timing is everything. So you never know. You never know. It's getting the word out there and, getting it to the right person. And so I think all this is leading in the right direction.
Yeah, I just keep making connections,
Yeah.
but it's really about just teaching people. So because the situation you just described, going into the store and you see people whispering and pointing at what's going on, and you have to literally walk up to them and say, hey, he has autism. And I'm hoping that as people become more and more familiar and understand it, then we won't have to do that.
Right. No, I agree. And I think, there's, because there's obviously people that are in the news and media whose lives have been impacted by it,
Right.
that it is becoming more prominent and more people are, becoming aware. It was funny because we did our connection calls with our members in June, and it's just where we ask them questions about, what they're enjoying about the membership, and is there any things that, you'd like us to change. And one of the questions was, do you remember how you found us originally? And so one of our members said, yes, I've been meaning to tell you this for quite some time, but do you know who Holly Robinson Pete is? And I said, yes,
Oh,
of
yeah.
course I do. And she said, well, I followed her for a really long time. And she shared one of your posts. And that's how I found you, from her story on Instagram. And I was like, I said her name and I was like, I can't believe that you haven't told me this. Like, you've been in our membership for 9 months.
Right.
And you're just now telling me this,
Right.
Because that was a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
So it was funny, but those, it's
And
just,
otherwise you didn't know. You didn't know she
I had
shared
no
one.
idea, none whatsoever. And so, of course, I went in and immediately wrote her a thank you message
Mhm.
for sharing it, because obviously we have, a member that joined from her just sharing it. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. You just never know who you're talking to, or
Right.
who knows who. But yeah, I think, more than anything, it's one place to get everything they need, as well as have a community behind them. I hope everyone watching goes and, check us out. You can find us everywhere at Not Your Average Autism Mom.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm going to put it in the ticker on the bottom, but
Perfect.
for YouTube. So we're going to be on YouTube and on, as the podcast too. So
Okay.
wonderful. All right. So Shannon, thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely, Cindy. Thank you. And I look forward to, when we meet again and you share your story and your books with all of our members.
That'd be awesome. Thank you.
All right, Cindy. Have a good day.
That's it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed listening and it helped you gain a new perspective. To see the video version of the show, go to our YouTube channel, Robbie and Me, Autism Reality. If you're interested in buying our book series, Robbie's World and His Spectrum of Adventures, the link will be in our episode description, as well as my Instagram and Facebook pages. If you enjoyed the show and you'd like more content, please be sure to hit that like button, follow us, and don't forget to leave us a great review. Thank you for joining us. Be sure to join us again on our next episode of Spectrum Perspectives.
Thank you for joining us today. Be sure to join us again on our next episode of Spectrum Perspectives.